Suzuki may not be the first Japanese car brand that comes to mind, but if it keeps building cars like this new Baleno, then it soon could be.
It's the brand's new small hatch to compete against the likes of the Toyota Corolla and Hyundai i30. Like the new Vitara that arrived in 2015, the new Baleno is something of a surprise packet.
Under the bonnet is a 1-litre 3-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine that produces around 81 kilowatts of power and 160 newton meters of torque. While that may not sound very potent, given that the Baleno actually tips the scales at under 1,000 kilograms, that's actually more than enough grunt to get it moving along quite sprightly. It certainly has no trouble keeping up with traffic, particularly once the little turbo comes on boost. And it actually makes quite a nice noise for a 3-cylinder. A lot of these 3-cylinders can actually sound a little rough, but this one has a nice sort of smooth little thrum to it that you get in some of the better, more premium 3-cylinders.
Being such a small engine is also helpful for fuel economy, with Suzuki claiming the Baleno sips just 5.2 litres per 100 k's.
This higher spec GLX model I'm driving comes standard with a 6-speed automatic transmission, which is actually a pretty slick unit that works well with the little 3-cylinder. The first thing that strikes you when you drive the Baleno is actually, even though it's a small car, it feels a little bit like you're driving an SUV, because the seat is actually set quite high. I've got it in the lowest setting possible, and even then I still feel like I'm sitting quite tall in the car, and I've got really good vision out the front windscreen. As for how it actually handles, well, you know what? It may not be class benchmark, but it's actually really good. Suzuki has done a great job, like the Vitara. The Baleno, handles well, it actually rides quite well. Again, it's maybe not right at the top of the small car class, but it's certainly very far from the bottom. It is actually a very well sorted package and feels like quite an agile and responsive car to drive around town. But if you get it out of town onto some twisty roads, that's when the weaknesses start to show. It does tend to run out of grip, probably a little bit lower threshold than say some of the better, more expensive models in this class. In terms of the interior, I'd give Suzuki an A for effort, but maybe a B for execution. I think the final level of polish and presentation is not quite up to those class-leading standards, but it is still very good. And definitely in terms of the thought that has gone into it, the small item storage, but also this big colour touchscreen that's really quite intuitive to use. It's split up into 4 quadrants that makes it for the radio, telephone, navigation, and your smartphone link. I mean, it's top notch, really, in the small car class. It's as good as pretty much anything out there. The space is actually quite good. This is a small car, but I can sit comfortably in the back as an adult, and the boot quite deep, maybe not the widest, but it's quite deep. It's got quite a high load height, but again, it covers all the bases that you expect of a small car.
The Baleno is priced very competitively against its competition. This top specification GLX turbo model we're testing here starts at $22,990 and comes with navigation, Apple CarPlay, cruise control, 16-inch alloy wheels, keyless entry and ignition, plus 6 airbags and a reversing camera.
The Suzuki ticks all the key small car boxes: zippy, efficient, practical and affordable. It may not have the instant credibility of the likes of the Corolla and i30, but the Baleno is certainly a small car worthy of your consideration.